Subconsciously, I was trying to try to seduce him. I was wearing inappropriate things around him.
And why were you doing that?
In all honesty, I was drinking a lot.
Between both of us drinking a lot, we ended up in the back in one of the rooms, ended up having relations with this guy that we don't even know.
You both have sex with this guy?
Yes,
Yes, Your Honor.
Without protection?
Yes,
Your Honor.
Almost 2 years of being together, unprotected sex. Never got pregnant until you go outside the relationship and come back, and now you pregnant.
Get ready for a roller coaster. Ms. Campbell steps into the spotlight, desperate to uncover if her 3-week-old daughter's father is the man she's in love with. The tension in the courtroom is as thick as molasses. Mr. Rogers, who's entangled in a rather unconventional family dynamic, shares his anxieties about possibly not being the father. Trust me, the twists are just starting.
Desperate to learn if the man you're in love with is indeed your 3-week-old daughter's biological father. Now, Mr. Rogers, you're a married man. You have reason to doubt. You say it would break your heart if you found out today that you're not Anna Gale's father.
Brace for a deep dive into family drama. Mr. Rogers lays out the intricate web of his relationships with his 2 wives and their collective decision to have children. They all share a home, a bed, and a complicated set of family rules. What's coming up next? Well, it's a spicy revelation at a swingers club that you won't see coming.
She brought Gracie into the relationship just for herself. I knew she liked women, so I kind of just let her go ahead.
Okay. And
I got brought into it about a year later. Gracie wanted to have children. She said she was getting to the age where she wanted to have kids. Angela told her, she said, the only way you can have children. I agreed.
The plot thickens here. Amid the complexities of a polyamorous agreement, Mr. Rogers unveils the breach that led to major paternity doubts. The women's venture to a swingers club in Phoenix. The events that unfolded there risk unraveling the fabric of their entire arrangement. What spills next will definitely turn heads.
you
Your
are
Honor.
in a polyamorous relationship, so that means you expect that both of these women would only be sleeping with you. That's what you felt like the deal was.
I was supposed to be the dad. They decided they was going to go to Phoenix, where Gracie's mom lived.
Me and Angela went to Phoenix to pick up my mother.
Here comes a curveball. It turns out that both Ms. Campbell and Ms. Rogers didn't just dance at the swingers club. They had unprotected encounters with another man. Mr. Rogers, blindsided by these events, struggles to grapple with the breach of trust. The aftermath is about to drop, and trust me, it's a doozy.
Standing before me, you weren't just dancing at this club. And it wouldn't be called a swingers club if it was just a dance club. So what happened?
He got really drunk. He started talking to some guy, kissing on this guy. Ended up having relations with this guy that we don't even know.
You both have sex with this guy?
Yes,
Your Honor.
Without protection?
Yes,
Your Honor.
Get ready for a heart tugger. Mr. Rogers delves into his personal history, discussing his absent father and his determination to be a better dad to his kids, regardless of the DNA results. The emotional weight is palpable. Up next, a dive into the evidence that might just tip the scales.
You know, he was there one day and then I didn't see him again 10 years later. I don't want none of my kids to go through that, whether they're or not. You know, it's not the kid's fault.
I have here evidence of the conception date, and I also have a calendar.
Things are heating up with some crucial evidence on deck. The courtroom digs into the exact dates around the baby's conception, piecing together a timeline with potential fathers marked on the calendar. This key piece of evidence could change everything, and just when you think it can't get more tangled, another paternity issue pops up.
That your date of conception is the 11th, and when we look at the 11th, there's no one but the day before would be potential father number 2. That's really close to the 11th.
I know in my heart that I did mess up. I did. But I want him to know, of course, he might not be the father.
You won't believe what's next for Austin. As the family wrestles with the consequences of their choices, another paternity case involving Austin comes to light, spurred by a recent medical diagnosis. Secrets long buried are now surfacing, adding layers to an already dramatic narrative. The outcome? It's just around the corner.
I told him what I'd done immediately.
Austin, you're here because you want to get some answers today regarding your paternity. Mr. Rogers, who raised you, you know him as dad, may or may not be your biological father. Is that correct?
Yes.
Just when you thought it was safe to breathe, the final verdicts are in. In a moment charged with emotion, the paternity results confirmed.
And the wait is over. You are his father.
Buckle up, folks. This is where the drama kicks off. At the start of the hearing, Miss Hayslip lays it all out on the table. She's seeking a DNA test to confirm if Mr. Hayslip is indeed her biological father. Despite years of believing he was, she recounts that he has consistently been absent from her life. This moment sets the stage for what's shaping up to be an emotional roller coaster. You'll definitely want to stick around for the next part. It's a doozy.
Ms. Hayslip, you are seeking a DNA test to prove that Mr. Hayslip, the defendant, is your biological father. You've believed believed he is your biological father for many years, yet you say he has never allowed you into his life. You acknowledge that your mother may have had sexual relations with multiple at the time of your conception, but you claim you were always told that Mr. Hayslip is your father.
Hold your coffee tight, because this next bit is a wild ride. Mr. Hayslip unveils a jaw-dropping twist in his tale. His first inkling that he might have a daughter came during a routine traffic stop that escalated to an arrest for unpaid child support. This bombshell was totally out of the blue, as he was clueless about her existence up to that point. The story only spirals from here, so keep watching.
When did you first hear that Ms. Hayslip is potentially your daughter?
I had moved from southern Michigan to northern Michigan. I was on my way back, about a 200-mile trip to southern Michigan.
And this was the first time you're driving along routine traffic stop and they say this to you?
Yes, ma'am. In fact, they handcuffed me, and when they did, I was pretty mad, and I struggled a little bit with him. He was adamant about it, and I asked, well, who is it? And he's like, well, it's not coming up.
Can you handle more? Because here it comes. Miss Hayslip dives into her upbringing, packed with belief and confusion, crediting her mom with the revelation that Mr. Hayslip was her dad. Her attempts to connect with his family peel back layers on the complex dynamics and emotional baggage at play. And trust me, you haven't seen anything yet. The next testimony turns the heat up even more.
Ms. Hayslip, you have a completely different understanding that you were told as a child.
As I was growing up, I knew David as my father.
Who told you that he was?
My mother. And then my mother would tell me that he had nothing to do with me. He never wanted anything to do with me, but was trying to get with her.
As a child, what's your first memory where your mother told you?
It was around 5 she told me that he could be my father, but earlier she always said David Hayslip.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more tangled, Aunt Susan steps into the spotlight. She's here to back up Celeste, spilling tea about her attempts to bridge gaps with a mom who's gatekeeping pretty hard. This adds a whole new layer of family drama and mystery to the mix, showing just how messy things can get. The emotional thermostat is about to explode. Watch out for what's coming.
Celeste's aunt.
David's sister.
And Mr. Hayslip's sister.
Yes.
And you are standing on this side of the podium.
Yes, I do. I met Celeste when she was like 5, 6. Her mother kept approaching me, and I didn't know who she was. And then she was approaching me, telling me that my brother fathered her daughter. I kept asking her and asking her and asking her to let me know Celeste, get to know her. She denied me. She wouldn't let me get to know her.
And now for the fireworks. Mr. Hayslip doesn't hold back, venting his fury over being shackled to fatherhood and child support without definitive proof. His raw, unfiltered frustration about the financial and emotional strains paints a vivid picture of his turmoil. And guess what? The next revelation is just around the corner, and it's a game changer.
You know, I was never tested for her. I deny her. But even if she is my daughter, which I don't believe she is, that should be up to me.
You felt like she was out of place bringing Miss Hayslip to your family before you made that initial
Yes, that's my decision.
Ms. Hodgemeyer, why is it that you felt like that was the appropriate time?
Because he didn't want to accept Celeste. He didn't want to accept the situation. I was feeling that the only way to get her into this family and to get her accepted, she had to be known.
How do you know you're not bringing someone into my family?
As everyone leans in, the air thick with anticipation, the climax of the episode doesn't disappoint. Judge Lake delivers the DNA test results, confirming.
Mr. Hayslip, you are her father.
Hold on to your seats, because this is just the beginning. Mr. Peebles kicks off the case by throwing a curveball about not being the father of little Amariah. He's adamant about his non-paternity claim and is pinning all his hopes on the DNA test to bail him out of this pickle. The stage is set, the players are ready, and boy, does it look like we're in for a roller coaster of emotions. Buckle up, because the ride's just getting started, and it's about to get bumpier.
Hello, Your Honor.
Hello.
This is a case of Peoples versus Peoples.
Thank you, Jerome. Good day, everyone. Mr. Peebles, you say you married the defendant, Mrs. Peebles, on April Fool's Day 2 years ago, but since then, you've been played for a fool. You are not her 20-month-old daughter, Amira, biological father, and are stuck on the birth certificate until today's results prove you are not her dad.
You won't believe what's coming next. The air in the courtroom is thick with accusations, flying back and forth like a heated tennis match. Mr. Peebles accuses Mrs. Peebles of pulling the wool over his eyes, painting a picture of betrayal and deceit. In response, Mrs. Peebles fires back, claiming she's merely reacting to his misdeeds. The plot thickens, and the stakes are higher than ever. You might want to grab some popcorn, because this drama isn't slowing down anytime soon.
I do it all. From taking care of Myra, take care of him. He's like my third child. So how am I fooling anybody? He's fooling me, deceiving me. Saying he loved me, he don't really love me.
Do you love him, Mr. Peebles?
Yeah, I love her, but this is just like a stopping point right now.
Now, he claimed I was cheating on him. I did. It's because he cheated on me first.
Just when you thought it couldn't get more intense, Mr. Peebles drops a sentimental bomb about his excitement at potentially being a father for the first time. The heart of the matter comes into focus as he reminisces about their once unprotected love story, now marred by suspicion and distrust. The buildup is real, and everyone's on the edge of their seats as we inch closer to the truth. Keep your eyes peeled. The truth is about to unfold in spectacular fashion.
When you find this out, Mr. Peebles, what is your reaction?
My reaction was, I'm super excited. This gonna be my first child. But I keep replaying like these time frames. Almost 2 years of being together, unprotected sex. Never got pregnant until you go outside the relationship and come back, and now you pregnant.
Grab your notebooks because the plot twists just keep coming. The courtroom gasps as Mr. Peebles' tale of an affair and a child with another woman while still married unfolds. This bombshell revelation throws a wrench into the already chaotic dynamics of their marriage, escalating the emotional turmoil to new heights. The courtroom is buzzing, and the air is ripe with anticipation. What will happen next? Stay tuned. It's going to be a jaw-dropper.
I moved in. It wasn't even moving in with her. I moved in with my best friend. I ended up meeting this other person. We got intimate.
They take pictures together.
Started spending the night. We moved in.
While you all are still married, all this is happening?
Yeah. He don't take me out, Your Honor. He don't do nothing for me. But I see on Facebook, he all hugged up on her. When do we take pictures? We married. We don't take pictures together.
As the clock ticks down to the DNA results, Mr. Peebles gives a lukewarm declaration about his commitment to the marriage, conditional on the DNA results. This half-hearted commitment lays bare the fractures in their union, spotlighting the deep-seated issues that have been simmering beneath the surface. The tension is palpable, and everyone's guessing game is on. The results are about to be revealed, and let me tell you, it's going to be a doozy.
It's not fair. All I wanted was my family.
So you do want your family?
With this other baby involved and issues, I don't think this gonna work. He don't want it. He don't care about me. All he doing is using me. And I let him stomp on me and do it all. And I still just take the punches and still love him.
Be at the top somewhere then.
Mr. Peebles, do you want this relationship, this marriage to work?
He don't.
Honestly, these results gonna reflect on what's gonna happen.
Are you ready for this? The results are in.
It has been determined by this court. Mr. Peebles, you are the father.
Man, take care of your responsibility. Help me out. Help me out. I ain't dumb.
Strap in for this wild start. Ms. Kavanaugh kicks off the proceedings with a bombshell, claiming Mr. Spence, her mother's longtime buddy, might just be the father of her son Malcolm. The audience gasps like they're at a horror movie premiere. Just watch. The roller coaster is just getting started.
Ms. Kavanaugh, you appeared in our courtroom previously and tested 2 men as potential fathers of your 1-month-old son, Malcolm. Fortunately, neither turned out to be his biological father.
Yes, Your Honor.
You believe Malcolm's biological father is a good friend of your mother's, the defendant, Mr. Spence.
Yes, Your Honor.
And it thickens. Mr. Spence drops a truth bomb admitting to a lapse in judgment that led him to sleep with Ms. Kavanaugh. And now, he's possibly the dad. This admission throws everything into high gear as we dive deeper into the paternity puzzle. Hang on, because the next revelation is a doozy.
A friend of Ms. Kavanaugh's mother and say her daughter made several attempts to have sex with you. Then after a lapse in judgment, you admit you did sleep with her. Now you say there's a chance you could be Malcolm's father. Ms. Kavanaugh.
Yes, Your Honor.
Your mother's friend?
Yes, Your Honor.
Talk about a plot twist. Ms. Kavanaugh spills the tea on her strategy of seduction, complete with risque outfits and too much booze. She's remorseful, realizing her tactics were more about grabbing attention than anything else. Buckle up, there's more juicy details ahead.
Subconsciously, I was trying to seduce him. I was wearing inappropriate things around him.
And why were you doing that?
In all honesty, I was drinking a lot. I don't know if I did it for a challenge or because I was wanting attention. It was just that I did. That was really stupid of me at the time.
You won't see this coming as Mr. Spence recounts their encounters. His resistance wears down with each visit from Ms. Kavanaugh, clad in what sounds like less fabric than more. He details a slow but sure capitulation that led to their eventual tryst. And guess what? The twists keep coming.
How did you end up being in the position you were sleeping with your really good friend's daughter?
It was like she said, came over a couple of times. She was in inappropriate gear. The first time, I shunned it off. Second time, I said, hey, watch yourself. Third time, it's starting to look good. Fourth time,
This situation escalates quickly. They debate the number of times they were intimate. Mr. Spence claims once. Ms. Kavanaugh says at least twice. Who to believe? The plot thickens, and you won't want to miss what's next.
Wow. So how many times were you intimate with her?
One.
Just once?
Yes, one.
Just one time, Ms.
Your
Kavanaugh?
Honor, I do not believe it to be once. It was at least twice, but that's just how I remember it.
And now, we have Malcolm, 1 month old.
The plot thickens. We're now dissecting the timeline of the pregnancy, placing Mr. Spence smack in the middle of the conception window. It's a crucial moment that could tilt the scales in this paternity drama. The next piece of the puzzle will definitely raise some eyebrows.
He could be a possibility that Mr. Spence is the father. And I texted him and I asked him, when was the last time we had sex? He told me it was the end of October.
And when was Malcolm born?
He was born July 9th.
So when you do the math on that, that's
yes,
about the window of conception.
Yes, Your Honor.
Didn't see that coming, did you? Mr. Spence reveals he's actually married, which throws another layer of chaos into the mix. His admission adds a spicy twist to the story, complicating things further. Trust me, the next part is even more startling.
That's not what I'm hoping.
What are you hoping?
I hope for the truth. If he is my son, like I told her, I'm gonna be there.
Why exactly do you have doubt?
My doubt is, first of all, it was only one.
The window of conception that she described, baby born in July.
Yeah.
You
I'm in
within
that
the
period.
window of conception. You dispute that?
That I do not dispute.
All
That's
right.
why I'm here.
As the tension peaks, DNA results for Mr. Scott are out. And guess what?
When it comes to the paternity of 1 month old Malcolm Kavanaugh, Mr. Spence, you are not his father.
It's okay.